Perhaps it's time for you to face the past.
Resident Evil Requiem is only a few months away, and while we do have some bits of information on what the game is going to be about and the general story, including the fact that it's going to be in Raccoon City, that we're going back to the police department, many of the factors from the original games coming back for Resident Evil Requiem, there seems to be this widespread idea that's come through, I believe, just social media and the Resident Evil community itself, believing that the marketing is shit. And when trying to explore these arguments or the main complaints for why people think that the marketing is poor and that the advertising has just been doing a poor job, you quickly realize that these are kind of hypocritical arguments to make, and I kind of wanted to explore why, especially with the Game Awards only a few weeks away from now. There's no doubt we're going to get better and more marketing as the game ramps up for February's launch. So let's talk about this and why I really think that these arguments are really just not true. I think a lot of these arguments are just blatantly hypocritical, and why these arguments they really don't have much standing on Resident Evil Requiem and how it's been advertised. So the first thing to mention is really the history of the marketing for Resident Evil games, because if we look back at Resident Evil Village, we did get a hell of a lot in terms of detail, and as well as just the detail of the environment. So we knew it was going to be in a village, which was heavily leaked, and of course we saw Lady Dimitrescu, and we saw a whole lot before the game actually came out. In fact, we saw so much, in fact, that people would argue that it showed too much, and that it seemed like we were going to have more of a role with Lady Dimitrescu than we actually got. So with that all being said, I think it's quite hypocritical that with that same reception, these people are now saying we're not getting enough gameplay or not enough detail for what's going to be in the game. Because I guarantee you that if we did get a whole lot more, if we saw you-know-who, and at this point, I'm just going to say it because we all know what's coming, so spoilers, I'm just going to say it. If we saw Leon in the first trailers, I guarantee you these same people would then be acting like we got too much gameplay. If we saw his sections of the game, and apparently with other rumors suggesting he was already in the other trailers and no one just paid attention to it, if he's already in the trailers, right, and they show a lot of his gameplay sections, would you be saying the same thing? Or would you be happy and accepting because it's Leon Kennedy? That leads into my next argument a little bit, so I do want to bring it up here. I feel like a lot of people who are saying this and who are complaining about the marketing are targeting the character and the idea that we're getting a new character again, which I don't see what the complaint is there. The reason we have iconic characters in the franchise is because they were introduced in newer games. Would it not make sense to have another iconic character introduced in the 9th game of the franchise when you already have the remakes supporting the other older cast? And double considering that it's already been leaked to high heaven, you know who's going to be in the game. And tripling on that fact that they've already confirmed there's going to be another playable character in the game, 2 playable characters, Grace, and again, you know who, Leon Kennedy is going to be the other one. That's been leaked to high heaven. Is that not enough? Why is it that just having a new character in itself a bad thing? And why is advertising focusing around her a bad thing? It's a new character who is the offspring of an old character from a previous game, if you didn't even know about that one, from Resident Evil Outbreak. If you had known that, would you still be complaining about the marketing focusing around her, or would you be accepting about it? That's what I have to wonder, because I feel like a lot of these complaints revolve either around the fact that we're not getting enough, despite the fact that we got too much last time, or the fact that it's a new character, even though it's not only the offspring, but also a character who, again, could be an icon for the series. We get new iconic characters all the time through newer entries, so why is this any different? And before anyone says that it's going back to Raccoon City, so we should have the OG cast, don't get me wrong, I agree. I do want to see the older cast return when you're going back to Raccoon City. I don't disagree with that. Maybe they still will, though. The problem is that you just don't know. Again, this is going to be a huge game. This is going to be a AAA Resident Evil non-remake experience, so we could see them in the game. We just don't know yet for absolute certainty. Maybe you could say, well, that's the whole point. We want to see more. We have to wait, alright? This is supposed to be the finale of this trilogy, and maybe the finale for mainline Resident Evil games for a while, considering we're supposed to get more remakes in the future. So I understand why they want to keep it a mystery, and why they've been mostly focusing on Grace. She's the new character. She's the one we're going to be likely playing with the most, although I can honestly see a good even split depending on how the game is developed. Apparently it was supposed to be multiplayer as well, but I'm getting ahead of myself. That all said, Grace is going to be the main focus for the advertising for a good while, so I don't see the complaints around her, and I don't see the complaints about not getting enough detail when not only are the Game Awards coming out soon, but the game is coming out at the end of February. We're currently in November, so we have a few months to go, and we have major gaming events before that time. And demos have already come out for those who have played it. There is actual gameplay footage out there more if you want to go look at it. It doesn't exist for the main public. There's no main demo yet. And if we don't get a demo, I can understand some of those complaints. We did get one for Village, and I really enjoyed that, so hopefully we do get a demo. Things like that nature, but I would imagine it would ramp up closer to launch. Again, a lot of these complaints just seem to me that not only are they hypocritical, and not only are they targeting the characters for some reason, even though, again, it's been leaked to high heaven, and the fact that we all know who's going to be the other character, it just seems to me like blind hatred, or at this point, just outright denial that we're getting a game that doesn't immediately advertise, hey, you have Leon Kennedy for the millionth time, or hey, you're going to be seeing Jill come back, which I do want to see as well. Do not get this twisted as me not wanting to see the original cast. Just understand this as me saying I am tired. I am very much tired of seeing people who can't move on and understand that there will always be new characters that will come back with the old characters. We're never going to see them go away permanently, okay? Code Veronica and Resident Evil 0 are next up to be remade. So you're going to see Claire come back, which I'm very happy about, and you're going to see Rebecca, and you're going to see the other characters as well. They're going to come back in remakes. And yes, it's not the same as a proper sequel, but considering how they've been handling their sequels, being these huge AAA, pretty much graphical, pushing to the limits here with how they're doing the new Resident Evil games, I wouldn't get my hopes up too much about getting more spin-off games like Revelations or anything like that with the old cast in every single new sequel. I wouldn't get my hopes about that. They just haven't done that in years, and I don't see that coming back anytime soon. Yeah, you'll see the remakes come back for sure, but with Requiem, this is going to be their finest piece of work yet, and I'm really excited for how it's going to turn out. So I don't think the marketing is necessarily poor, and I don't necessarily think that they're just trying to push away that we're going back to Raccoon City and push away all the characters from Raccoon City, the survivors, all that stuff. I don't think that's what they're doing. I think they're just keeping it a mystery for what could be either one of their best games or one of their worst games. We're just going to have to wait and see. And I really think that's the fun part, because that means we can make a bunch of different theories, which is really fun. And I think that's a whole lot of what they want to do with the franchise, is make it so we have to think about how are they going to do this? How are they going to introduce this? Are they going to bring certain characters back? Because we already know that some are going to come back no matter what. The Ashcrofts from Outbreak, they literally brought that back for this game specifically, and people didn't know until weeks later when people actually had to discover who Grace was, who Grace Ashcroft was. People actually had to go in and find out who that was. And thankfully there are some people who did play that game and understand that she is the offspring of a old character. Case in point, Alicia Ashcroft, who's also in this game. You get the old characters. It's not just new characters and the old characters go aside. You don't get to see them ever again. It's not like that. So hopefully that can be made understood for a relatively solid launch here. I think that the marketing, how it's going to ramp up, I think the game is going to be really well done, but we can't make any assumptions yet, and we certainly can't judge it off just the beginning stages of their marketing campaign. So yeah, I think that's a lot of my little rant over regarding these people's complaints, because to be honest, we don't have a whole lot to go off of. We don't have a whole lot to really say here. And yeah, you could say that as a bad thing. You could say, why are we only seeing the same footage? But again, it's just, if they show anything more, then either people will complain, or people are going to say, hey, why is it like this? Why is this game more action-packed instead of horror like you advertised? Or like you've been saying through interviews, it's going to be more horror-based instead of action. That's really, they're kind of stuck in a no-win situation here. Those are a lot of my thoughts, though, regarding it. Of course, it's not necessarily saying that every criticism is false, or that you can't critique or say, hey, I want to see more, why aren't we getting more footage? You are always free to say that. I just think that the ones that are mainly being spoken out there are false or hypocritical. I just think that a lot of the marketing right now is purposely being shown in a way that leaves you wondering, that leaves you asking for questions. So I think that's the whole point, and I wish more would understand this without just going into a rant on why, hey, this marketing is horrible, this game is going to be trash, I'm really worried that it's going to be bad. Just because they're not showing you every single thing, or showing you the end of the game in the trailers themselves, or showing you that, hey, you can switch between characters, or showing you pretty much major spoilers, just because they're not doing that doesn't mean that the game is in a sorry state. Now, of course, if we don't see anything else until February, then that's when a red flag might be up in the air. Maybe that's when you can start saying, hey, you guys have been really secretive. But considering they've been ramping things up, I don't think that's going to be the case. And I think Requiem hopefully turns out really, really good, because I know damn well I'm going to be playing it day one, and I know others that will as well. I don't think that's going to change much, and I don't think you should let the marketing not showing you every single thing determine whether or not you're going to get the game. Those are just my thoughts though. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. I could always use a new addition to the Dark Ops army. And what do you think about Resident Evil Requiem? Have you pre-ordered? Are you going to be waiting for the collector's edition? Let me know in the comments below. But thank you guys so much for watching. I didn't mean for this to get a little long or ranty. I didn't really intend for that to happen. I just had to make a video on this because there's another video project I want to get done, and that's going to take me a little while, so I apologize. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.